You are listening to the Conquering Everest podcast, episode number 2. Hey, hello, and welcome to the Conquering Everest podcast. My name is Brian Tallor. Thank you very much for tuning in and spending a little bit of your day here with me. Now, if you came here looking for a podcast about climbing mountains, then I apologize in advance. This is not that podcast, at least not in a literal sense. I do want to talk about conquering mountains, but the mountains that I'm talking about are the ones that we face in our lives. It could be depression, it could be anxiety, it could be financial troubles, it could be divorce. You name it, hopefully, or at least it is my hope, that somewhere down the line we will have a conversation about it. And even beyond that, my hope is that those conversations that we'll have will bring you some peace, perhaps bring you some hope, and even better yet, bring you some answers on how to conquer those figurative mountains in your life. So this weekend I had an opportunity to help out for a service day with one of our churches here locally. And, the church they were looking for people to help with a variety of tasks. It was landscaping, painting, cleaning, just a variety of tasks. And the task that I was given along with 2 other gentlemen is the church had asked us if we would remove an evergreen shrub from the front of the church. Thing is, this was no normal evergreen shrub. This shrub stood well over 6 feet tall. As far as in diameter, to say it was 5 foot around, that's probably being modest. This thing was huge. So me and the 2 other guys, we put our heads together and said, okay, how do we want to tackle this? We have a chainsaw, we have a bow saw, we have an axe. So we said, let's take the chainsaw and let's start cutting back the branches. Let's get this thing down to the little tiny stump that's going to remain, and then we can then figure out how to get rid of this stump. So we grabbed the chainsaw and we began, chopping limbs and dragging them away. And pretty soon we got down to the stump. There was no little 6-inch stump when we hacked away all the limbs. There was a 24-inch, at least in diameter, mangled, monstrous-looking piece of wood. We looked at that thing and said, "How in the heck are we going? Like, we can't pull that out of the ground with a truck and a chain." We weren't confident that we could chainsaw it because there was no way to get it flush with the ground. So, we took a couple shovels, we started digging down a little bit, and then as we dug, we exposed more and more. This thing started to gain a little more in size. It became a little bit bigger, and pretty soon we're standing there scratching our heads, going, okay, this is not what we expected. So how do we want to tackle this? So grab the chainsaw. Started, trying to chainsaw our way through this stump. And all we managed to do is wear out the blade and run the chainsaw out of gas. So then, no chainsaw. Not that it mattered because it wasn't doing anything. It was literally, it was barely cutting into this. This wood was like, it might as well have been a piece of titanium. It was so strong. So then we grabbed the bow saw and we started trying to, cut pieces of this thing off with the bow saw. And of course, nothing. This bow saw, it was doing nothing at all. It was useless. So the only tool we had left available to us at that time was a long-handled axe. Kind of I don't know, I think of like a lumberjack, right? Old school lumberjack, the big old axe. And so the three of us then said, okay, well, this is what we've got. So let's just start hacking away. So one of the gentlemen with me, he starts hacking away at this thing, and then pretty soon he runs out of gas. So I said, okay, let me take a couple swings at this. So I get there. I take, 10, 15 swings at this thing and, hacking into it, and now I'm running out of gas. And then third guy steps up, and he hacks away at this thing. Finally, we get a 3-inch chunk to go flying off of this stump. And our sense of excitement and happiness that we got this little 3-inch chunk of wood off of this stump. I mean, you would have thought the three of us had just scored the winning touchdown in a Super Bowl game. We're high-fiving, hooting, hollering, slapping each other on the back. We were genuinely happy and excited. And so then we repeated the progress, the processing. We grab the axe, we start slugging away at this thing. We hand it off when we get tired, and pretty soon another chunk of wood comes off of this, and we go crazy. It's like, this was a glorious moment. Hallelujah! We finally got this. We got the second big chunk of wood off of here. So 3 hours later, we finally have hacked away at this stump to the point where we can, level out the ground and, consider the job done. So I get in my truck and I'm heading home, and I'm thinking about these past, 3 hours that I just spent with these guys, and thinking about, kind of had a smile on my face about how excited we got as we started to chip away and had little pieces on their own, just little insignificant pieces of, wood go flying off of this stump. On their own, they really meant nothing. But, over the course of the 3 hours, these little pieces started to add up, and the way we would act, and the way we would respond when these chunks of wood came flying off, and it really gave me a new perspective into facing problems in our life, right? Whatever that problem is, whatever mountain you're facing right now, you're trying to climb, what if every time you had a small victory, you celebrated? What if you threw yourself a party, right? I'm not saying invite a bunch of people over, but, maybe you go get Dairy Queen or you go get yourself a soda, whatever, something small, Snickers bar. But you celebrate that little victory. And each time you get it, even though it may in the moment seem insignificant, you keep celebrating. I think about it like this. I'm climbing the mountain, right? Whatever mountain's before me, I'm climbing it. And I got two ways to look. I can look up and complain about how far I have left to go, or I can look down and celebrate how far I've come. So it's really given me this new philosophy on how I need to handle. I mean, this is listen, I'm a pretty optimistic guy, but there are times when I can be a bit of a pessimist. My big struggle right now is depression and anxiety. And there are a lot of days where the depression and or the anxiety, they get the best of me and they shut me down. But then there are those days in which I get the best of it. There are those days when I get up and I go work out, or I get up and I'm able to go mow the grass and, trim the weeds. Small victories, little things that I take for granted. And I don't nearly, I hardly ever celebrate those little things. The fact that I was able to get up one day and mow the grass, that is a celebration. That is a milestone. That is a step in the right direction. If I can get up and I can go work out and get a good workout in and build up a good sweat, that is a reason to celebrate. So you get these small little chunks, these small little victories that eventually over time they're going to add up. And pretty soon you're at the peak, right? You're standing at the top of this mountain, and you know, the view is amazing, and you've realized all that hard work and all that perseverance has paid off, and you're finally here. And now you can make your descent, having successfully conquered whatever that giant was for you. And then you take that victory and you take those lessons you learned, and you prepare yourself for the next time that you come face to face with your Everest. So think about that. That's really my message for you all here today, is I want you to think about the small victories, the little milestones that, no, they don't seem like they're that big of a deal, but really they are. When you learn to recognize these small victories and you allow yourself a moment of celebration, I believe it's going to shift some thinking in our minds. We're going to start celebrating the distance we've come rather than lamenting about the climb that we still have ahead. And just having that small shift in mindset, in knowing that you're making progress, that you're succeeding. Even if, maybe you hit a little stumble, maybe you take a few steps back, but that's okay. You just push forward, and when you hit that another small victory, you celebrate it. And you just keep pushing on and enjoying the journey of whatever it is that you're going through, whatever Everest you're conquering at this time in your life, or maybe here in the future. Just know that this is a journey, and it's a journey to be celebrated. Because you will conquer your Everest. I have no doubt. I've conquered many Everests in my life. There has never been a time in my life where I was, a complete failure. There's never been anything that I could not, any obstacle that I could not overcome or have not been able to overcome. You just keep pushing forward, and what I do wish is in the past I would have had that mindset, that chopping wood mindset, right? Hey, every little piece of wood that comes flying off of that stump, well, that's a victory. And I wish I would have been thinking, but I will be thinking that moving forward, and I hope you all will take that mindset as well, that chopping wood mindset. There we go. We're going to call it chopping wood. You just keep chopping, and every time a piece flies off, you take a minute, you celebrate. High five yourself, high five whoever's, the closest around you. Jump up and down, scream and shout, whatever it is you want to do to celebrate that small victory. And piece by piece, bit by bit, you're going to be moving closer to wherever it is you want to be. I guarantee it. So chop that wood. Celebrate those small victories. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you've made it this far, hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. But I would ask in return, if you don't mind, could you share this podcast with somebody that you know? And please give me a thumbs up, a like, or you know what? You could even leave a comment for me wherever it is you listen to this podcast. Now, if you want an easy way to return, simply go to conqueringeverest.com. That will take you to the main hosted page for this podcast, where you can listen to the various episodes and leave comments and all that good stuff. So until next time, this is Brian saying good night or good day, or whatever the case may be for you, right? But I say I'm still new to this whole podcast thing, right? I don't know how to sign off, but I will say this. Wherever you're at in your journey, keep chopping the wood and keep celebrating start celebrating those small victories. Because all of those small victories are going to lead up to something big, a major breakthrough. As Les Brown would say, we all have greatness within. So let's go and, be great. Talk to you next time.